Not only is this intro awesome and beautifully animated, but it also shows us that there is no fall damage in this game. So that's a dual purpose win. I love this. The game doesn't tell you how to open doors, you just have to guess. Once you figure it out and smash a few doors, the game throws an enemy at you. And since what you did to open doors looks a lot like swinging a weapon around, you know exactly what to do. Call that a silent tutorial win. See, I thought this was just the game talking directly to the player and being coy about it. But there are actually higher beings within the game that this tablet could be referring to. So not only does it serve as a tutorial, but it also contributes to the game's rich lore. So that's another dual purpose win. Not only is this a clever way of expanding the level, it also shows us that this world is old and crumbling apart. Hollow Nest is full of secrets like this one, but it's pretty clear that you won't be able to clear these spikes with your current moveset. Clever way of hinting at the Metroidvania nature of this world while you're still in such a linear level. In case you weren't sure about the lack of fall damage, Team Cherry gives you a little reminder. Having the bench emit particles like that, as well as having it be in the light, immediately draws your attention to it and makes it look enticing. And in case you weren't sure, the third time you talk to Elderbug, he says that it's a place to collect your thoughts. Clever way of saying that it saves your game without breaking the fourth wall. You probably recognize this place from the opening cutscene. That's because this is where the final boss is. You haven't even been playing for 10 minutes and you've already found the final boss. These little grubs are adorable. That is all. Having this area be visually distinct from the Forgotten Crossroads not only gives it a unique feel, but it also makes it stand out in the player's mind for when they inevitably have to return here with an upgrade. Let's talk about the map system. You have to actually purchase a map of each area, and since currency can only be found by defeating enemies, it feels like a reward for prowess in combat. And the map you buy isn't complete, so you have to go back to Dirtmouth and purchase a quill, which will allow you to fill it out. But you can only fill it out when you rest at a bench, so going to new places still feels treacherous and unknown. Also, can we appreciate that that's the Black Egg Temple and that's the first mandatory boss? You know almost immediately that that's where you want to go. Ah, the Gruz Mother. She'll probably be your first or second boss, and her design clearly communicates that. She's just a bigger version of enemies you've seen before, but she has some unique moves as well. Plus, she's fairly challenging. This might be a good time to talk about the art style, because whoo boy is it pretty. It mixes cute and menacing and creepy all into one package. You can almost see some Tim Burton elements in there as well, but it makes for something very aesthetically pleasing. And the environments. God, the environments are so ornate yet simplistic at the same time, communicating to us the state that this world is in, decrepit and falling apart. All that combines with the parallax to create depth, and it's just so beautiful. Excellent job, Team Cherry. And then you find out that her name was literal, and the fight's not over yet. And the False Knight. The first mandatory boss of the game. First of all, just look at his design. He's massive and threatening, but he's also very similar to some enemies we've seen before, namely these guys, who have a similar club-like weapon and also create shockwaves. But he also has a jump attack similar to these guys and causes things to fall from the ceiling just like the stalactites you've been avoiding up until now. So you pretty much already know how to avoid his attacks before you even fight him. And then that hard shell cracks open to reveal he's just a big old softie. Maggot thing. Still, he's adorable. And the sound he makes when he's hit are just hilarious. Because of course, in a world made of bugs, his club would also be a bug. Perfect. Talk about another silent tutorial. If you try hitting this guy with your nail, it won't do anything. And since your only other way of damaging enemies is this new spell you got just a second ago, and you've probably seen this same enemy in this visually distinct area while you were exploring. You couldn't take him down then, but now you know exactly what to do because you've done it before. Now, when you see water in a video game, your first instinct is usually to see if you can swim. Team Cherry does their best to mitigate that. It's green, bubbling, and steaming, and the sound design. It's hissing and churning. All signs that you probably shouldn't dip your toes in. I love that sound effect. Now is as good a time as ever to talk about how Team Cherry made this world feel so alive. From the dust the night kicks up, to the way the grass moves when you walk through it, to the way you can actually cut the grass and the little bird bugs that fly away when you get too close. Hollow Nest feels like a real place you can actually walk around in. And I love how Cornifer leaves a literal paper trail and his humming can be heard so you can find him easily. Here's a little detail you probably missed, but the hunter's eyes blink from top to bottom, not at the same time. I don't know, I thought that was neat. Gotta love me some mini-bosses. And this one is pretty difficult since he can block your attacks. A sign of things to come. One of the greatest examples of how this game just doesn't care whether you see all of it is Zote. You can miss him or just choose not to save him, and he just won't show up for the rest of the game. And he's like the best part of the game.
Akala, man.
Gratitude. Brave of Team Cherry to throw a super hard mandatory boss fight at you this early in the game. Hornet does not disappoint. This might be a good time to talk about the soul mechanic. When you hit an enemy with your nail, you get soul. You can use that soul for two things, healing or spells. If you tap the soul button, you cast a spell, which deals massive damage and has a longer range than your nail. And if you hold it, you can heal yourself, which means everything in this difficult game. But when you heal, you have to be on the ground, standing still for a pretty significant time. This encourages risky play, as you need to be aggressive to get soul and you need time to heal. All around, just a genius mechanic. And listen to this score! Christopher Larkin really knocked it out of the park with Hornet's theme, and this won't be the last time I sing his praises. Another thing I love about Hollow Knight is the way certain characters seem to be having adventures of their own. You can just find Coral like this all over the place. It's great.
Bapanada.
So much character in one made-up gibberish word. For a game that features almost no spoken words, the voice acting is really stellar. As we all know, hot springs in a video game always mean healing. Also, are those giant Zote heads? They should be. Where the previous area's themes felt mysterious or ethereal, the Fungal Waste theme almost feels playful and bouncy, just like the bouncy mushrooms. Oh, I get it. Of course they deflate like balloons. Waluigi has entered the chat. This is the third time Hornet has told us where we need to go without saying a word. Too bad we don't have the upgrade we need to get there. I love how clearly the attacks are telegraphed. Nothing comes at you by surprise so you don't feel cheated. That's all in the animation. These are the faces of some of the enemies you fight later in Deep Nest. Not only does this hint at things to come, but it also gives us a sense at the Mantis' true nature as fierce warriors and protectors of Hollow Nest. This has got to be the most ingenious part of the game, because up until now, Hollow Knight has been pretty linear. Specific upgrades would unlock specific places for you to go, just like your standard Metroidvania. But once you get the Mantis Claw, you're pretty much free to do whatever you want. You can go into Deep Nest, the Ancient Basin, the Howling Cliffs, or because you saw Hornet go there earlier, the City of Tears. But if you choose to go to the City of Tears, you get a taste of the ridiculously hard platforming challenges that this game has to offer. Hey, that looks familiar. That's actually a hint of something you'll find later in the game. I love that they introduce this enemy as a mandatory mini-boss and then later throw them at you as a standard enemy. Way to trust that your players can adapt. What an entrance! The Soul Master and his dream variant, the Soul Tyrant, have got to be my favorite boss fights in the entire game. Where the Gruz Mother and the False Knight were slow and big, Hornet was tiny and quick, the Soul Master is quick and big. Props for changing up the format. But he's not too different from the enemies you fought in the Soul Sanctum. He has the same homing projectile and dive attack that you've seen before. Plus, that dive attack is the same spell you steal from him when he's defeated. And he fakes you out. Also, did you notice that the soul attacks he sends at you have the same sound effect as the higher being tablets in King's Pass? a drama queen. Oh, did you think this fight was over? Nope, there's a stage 2. And it's even more fast-paced and nail-biting. And nothing like a mountain of corpses in someone's lair to make you not feel so bad for killing them.
Cinema.
Tiso guilt trips you into not fast traveling. That's one way to make you explore the world, I guess. Not only is each area visually unique, but they also bring gameplay differences to the mix. Green Path had acid, the fungal waste had bouncy mushrooms, and now conveyor belts. I mentioned before how Team Cherry just doesn't care whether you see all of their content or not. This boss? Completely optional. All it awards you is a bench and the chance to fight him again. This makes the world feel way more alive and real. Pickaxe Bros. Goodness, look at those effects. You can feel the Crystal Dash charging up. You can feel the wind blasting as you soar through the air. I haven't been praising the effects animation nearly enough. Nope. This late in the game, and we're still introducing game-changing mechanics. Now you can re-challenge certain bosses and have access to entirely new ones. Have I praised the voice acting enough? Not a chance. Deep Nest may take the cake as the creepiest place in Hollow Nest, but the Royal Waterways are a close second. Nope. Nope. No. Of course, in the sewers, the only bench there would be discarded like trash. Now, I think this game is almost perfect. However, something I don't really agree with is the way you have to recover your corpse when you die. I think it discourages exploration and out-of-the-box solutions in favor of trying the same thing over and over again. But this remedies that problem, so I'm gonna give it a win.
Boo! Uncle Mera! Ha!
This might be a coincidence, but I love how the Dung Defender literally says boo, like he's trying to scare you away from having to fight him. Again, probably not the intention, but I'm gonna win it anyway. The Dung Defender. He may not be my favorite boss fight, but he is my favorite character. Yes, even more so than Zote. From the voice acting, to the way he beats his chest, to the way he's a literal lovable dung beetle. He's just great. And that theme, it's not dark and melancholy like the other boss themes, but rather light and energetic, playful even. And he gets to live. Thank you for that. I don't know what I would have done if I was forced to kill him. Hey, that isn't lying. If you look closely, the acid does literally repel away from you, leaving only water. When you get to the ancient basin, you might think that it's just the background that's in these dark, muted colors. But then you notice that the blue in your cloak and the orange of the infection are also a bit duller, meaning that it's a filter. Almost like the void is draining the color out of everything. The Broken Vessel fight. Man, not only is it tough as heck, but it also manages to tug on your heartstrings. I mean, the way it reaches out to you before it dies. And again, the score. It's like this march of inevitability. This confrontation was always coming and the outcome was already determined. So good. So this might be the hardest boss in the game. Seriously, I lost what felt like hours to these guys, and almost gave up. But did you know that if you break a secret wall, you can crush one of them with a chandelier before the fight even starts? Thanks, Team Cherry. Still, this is one heck of a boss fight, which is why I'd recommend going for the Watcher last. But it never feels unfair, which is just a testament to the effort that went into this game. Also, did you notice the music? This same song also played during the False Knight fight. The False Knight is an empty suit of armor being controlled by something else. And so are the Watcher Knights. Kinda like a Hollow Knight? Okay, I'll stop. Oh, it's the Watcher. I get it now. The Dreamers theme really just nails down how sad this event is. They're just trying to keep the infection at bay, and because they're failing, you have to murder them in their sleep. The Fog Canyon, man. Not only is it just stunning, but the way the sound design and soundtrack makes it feel like you're underwater, even though you aren't. Can I just say what a glorious name Umu is? It's just beautiful. Kasa! Saving your friends. Helping your friend kill your master. Deep Nest. Ooh, this place is just one big nope. It truly captures everything you hate about bugs and throws them all into one place. And let's not forget the sound design's role in all that. From the skittering of the bugs in the background to the way the enemies hiss and snarl to the downright chilling soundtrack. I have to play Deep Nest on mute sometimes just to get through it without a case of the creepy crawlies. And of course it has spike traps. Of course it does. Well, I'll definitely do that now that all of you are telling me to do that. And just the way they turn their heads to follow you as you walk around, they didn't need to do that, but they did. Oh, so creepy. Oh god, these things. Not only are they invincible except for a few moments right before they attack, but they take 2 masks of damage when they hit you. Such a formidable foe, so appropriate for Deep Nest. I wonder what child she's talking about. Garama! If you thought Hollow Knight couldn't one-up the first fight with Hornet, you thought wrong. Saving your friends. The Trial of the Fool isn't just a place where you can practice your fighting skills against wave after wave of enemies, but it also gives you a chance to see Zote the Mighty in action, and he certainly lives up to expectation. Seriously, Zote is always a win. And also, reintroducing the Gruz Mothers as regular enemies and having you fight 2 at the same time is a testament to how the player has become stronger over time, both in skill and in stats. You also get to fight one of the most unique bosses in the game, throwing 2 very different bosses at you at the same time. Having the Forgotten Crossroads change into the Infected Crossroads like that is just inspired. It lets you know that the world is changing, evolving, and dying, while also ironically giving new life to an area that had become easy and boring over time. Also, it's just plain nice of them to leave a bench right before the final boss. So we all know that the fight with the titular character was gonna be great. But I want to draw attention to, you guessed it, the music. The beginning of the fight has your standard final boss fight music. It's energetic but somber, with repeating 16th notes driving it forward, which is in and of itself pretty great. But once you get to the point where the Hollow Knight starts stabbing itself, the music changes. It slows down, gets quieter. Over the course of the fight, more and more parts get added, and it crescendos into this beautifully sad ballad. All in all, just a great final boss. Except it isn't the final boss. But before I get to the other endings, let's just give some recognition to the other optional boss fights in the game. Starting with the Mantis Lords. Not only are they fast-paced and teleport around, but the game throws 3 of them at you, 2 at the same time. Plus, if you look closely, it foreshadows a boss you'll encounter later. The Warrior's Dream are kept rather simple, usually focusing on a singular gimmick and expanding on it as time goes on, while retaining some genuine challenge. A special shout out to Marmu, because Marmu is adorable. Also No Eyes, who is the only Warrior Dream with a personalized song, which is so creepy it belongs in Deep Nest. Nosk is the stuff of nightmares. Seriously, I'll never forget the first time I saw my double in the shadows. I thought I was hallucinating. And the Traitor Lord. One way to make a boss stick out in the player's mind is to have them kill off a beloved character. Beating the Traitor Lord gives you access to an area in the Queen's Gardens, where you receive half of the King's Soul. When you defeat enough of the Warrior's Dream and collect their essence, you are awarded with the Awoken Dream Nail. This allows you to enter the White Palace, which is this brutal platforming level. Brave of Team Cherry to even include this in the game. But beating the White Palace gives you the other half of the King's Soul, which opens up an area in the Abyss where the King's Soul turns into the Void Heart, which means that Shades will no longer attack you. It also shows you a flashback that gives more insight into the Hollow Knight's character. Also, young Hollow Knight is adorable. Doing this unlocks the other two endings, one of which is essentially the same as the first but with Hornet, but the other allows you to fight the true final boss of the game, the Radiance. Hot damn, that entrance. Also, teamwork. Listen to that score. This ain't your grandpa's somber ballad. This is your full-out, balls-to-the-wall final boss theme. Did you see that? You have to dodge through lasers. And then it ups the ante by getting rid of the floor. The shades rising in the background, the screen getting darker as the radiance gets weaker and the void grows more powerful. Teamwork. Hornet's alive. Self-sacrifice win. What can I say about Hollow Knight, other than you should go play it right now? It truly is a masterpiece, and you can tell a whole boatload of work went into its production. And it was made by 3 people! I wouldn't even call it a Metroidvania. It's surpassed that, I think. Almost a 2D open world game, and I mean that in the best possible way. Hollow Nest is just so immersive and unique. There's surprises in every nook and cranny. Who would have thought that someone could make a game where everyone is a bug and we'd all think it was cute? Before I get to my conclusion, I just want to list off some wins that I missed or glossed over earlier. Like how you can lure enemies under falling stalactites to kill them. Or if you destroy a sign under the well in Dirtmouth, there's a 2% chance an NPC called Menderbug will show up to fix it. Which also explains why all the signs keep getting fixed when you destroy them. Speaking of which, I mentioned this before, but almost everything in the environment is destructible. It makes the world feel so much more tangible. If you go back to where you fought the False Knight, you can find his corpse being mourned by his siblings. Too bad you have to kill them to fill out the Hunter's Journal. Speaking of which, I love the fake out with the Hunter when you finish his journal. He roars and boss music starts playing, but then it distorts and he just casually hands you an item. I would kill for a Hunter prequel game. And speaking of fake outs, Cloth's introduction is great as well. And of course, Millabelle the Banker. Who steals all your money? Don't give her your money. There's also smaller details that you may not have even noticed, like if you're wearing the Dung Defender's crest when you talk to the Queen, she'll acknowledge this. Or that the Blue Lake sits directly above the City of Tears and is the reason why it's raining underground. Or that Hornet is actually your sister. Okay, this one you might already know, but it's never explicitly stated in-game, so I'm gonna count this as a win. Bet you didn't realize that the Nailsmith was gay, or that all the vessels, including you, are non-binary. I love this game. There's a reason I wanted to kick off this channel with Hollow Knight, and it's because, if you couldn't tell, it is my favorite game. Yeah. Sorry, Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, you're a close second. I had to leave so much stuff out. So if you're wondering why I left your favorite part out, well, time. But I'm curious as to what your favorite bits are, so feel free to comment down below. So if you couldn't tell, this channel was inspired by, and by that I mean directly ripped off from a channel called CinemaWins. It really is one of the most positive channels on this hell site that is YouTube, and I noticed there was a distinct lack of positivity like that when it comes to video games. I wanted to help spread that positivity. If I can convince one person to play this game because of my video, then it'll have been worth it. Seriously, go play Hollow Knight if you haven't. Team Cherry has earned your money. Super excited for Silksong. It's probably the most excited I've ever been for a game. I've just been listening to the Lace theme on loop since it came out. Anyway, thanks for watching. Next week will be another indie favorite of mine, so subscribe for more.